Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Palm-Aire Players Drama Workshop, welcome to this, our show for tonight, which is 12 Angry Women. Now, most of you probably know and recognize the name as 12 Angry Men. Well, we here in Palm-Aire have more angry women, therefore the play. This is our first dramatic presentation, and we do not take the easy ones. This is a tour de force, and we are very happy to make our presentation tonight. On stage are 12 people who will be there throughout the entire performance. This is a show that has had its troubles, and as a matter of fact, in the last 10 days, 2 of our newcomers have pitched in to replace 2 of our people who were taken seriously ill. I'm not going to tell you their names because I want you to guess. All I can tell you is that the total of their numbers adds up to 18. I would appreciate no smoking in the area. There will be 1 intermission, and we do request that you do not enter the back room where the cast will be. The play has been a serious work of art by a group of people whom I'm very proud to be associated with. And all of it comes together through the efforts of our director, our newest resident of Palm-Aire, Jerry Lerner.
Thank you, Ira dear. Ladies and gentlemen, as Ira told you, it hasn't been easy doing this play. 12 women on this stage, as you can see, is not very comfortable. The audience in this case is going to have to be as creative as the author was in imagining a door that closes, a window that is really a window, etc. The people in this production have worked very, very hard. The women have given up their time and their energy, and I hope all of this work will satisfy you. Thank you.
Ladies of the jury, murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You have heard a long and complex case, ladies, and it is now your duty to sit down to try to separate the facts from the fancy. 1 man is dead. The life of another is at stake. If there is a reasonable doubt in your mind as to the guilt of the accused, then you must declare him not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever way you decide, the verdict must be unanimous. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, ladies.
The jury will retire.
What a dump!
It's hot in
I don't know
court.
what I'm going to do. She just doesn't do what I ask her to do.
I'm going to get a glass of water. Would you save me a seat?
Chewing gum?
Thank you, but no.
Gum?
No, thank you.
You know something?
I know lots of things. I'm in advertising.
You know it's hot.
I would never have guessed if she hadn't told me, would you?
I suppose not. I'd kind of forgotten.
How could you forget? I've done nothing but perspire all day.
I bet you're not perspiring like that boy who was tried.
You'd think that at least air condition the place. I almost died in court.
My taxes are high enough already.
This should go fast anyway.
Yes, it is hot.
Careful, hon. Your shoe's untied.
Thank you.
Madam Foreman, if there's anything you want, just knock.
Thank you.
Did they lock that door?
Yes, they did. What do they think we are, crooks? Well, they lock us up for a little while.
Yeah, and then they lock up that boy forever, and that's all right with me.
I didn't know they did that.
Sure, they locked the door. What did you think?
I didn't know. It just never occurred to me.
Well, shall we admit right now that it is hot and humid and that our tempers are a bit short?
It's been a pretty hard week.
I feel just fine as long as I got my crocheting.
I wonder what's going on down at my office. You know how it is in advertising. In 6 days, my whole job could be up the creek. And the company as well. They're not going to like this one bit.
I think this is our duty.
I'm not objecting to doing my duty. I merely mentioned I might be without a job by the time I get back.
Why don't you ask her to help you? She's rich.
I bet her husband could get you a wonderful job. Look at her outfit.
Is it an original?
Yes, it is.
I have an aunt who makes dresses.
Oh, how's she do?
Not too well. You know, a friend of hers, that is, a friend of my aunt's, the dressmaker, well, she wanted to be on this jury in my place.
Why didn't you let her? I'd have done anything to miss this.
And get caught or something? Do you know what kind of a fine you could pay for a thing like that? Anyway, this friend of my aunt's was on a jury once, about 10 years ago. A case just like this one.
So what happened?
They let him off. Reasonable doubt. And do you know, about 8 years later, they found out that he had actually done it anyway. A guilty man, a murderer.
Did they
turned
get him?
loose in the streets.
Did they get him?
No.
They could. Why not? Well, no one can be held in double jeopardy. Unless it's a hung jury, they can't try anyone twice for the same crime.
That isn't going to happen here.
6 days. You know, they should have finished it in 2.
Talk, 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 talk.
Did you ever hear so much talk about nothing?
Oh, I guess they're entitled.
You know, everybody gets a fair trial. That's the system. Well, I suppose you can't say anything against it.
How did you like that business about the knife? Did you ever in your life hear such a story?
Look, you have to expect that. You know what you're dealing with.
He bought a switch knife that night.
And then claimed he lost it.
A hole in his pocket.
A hole in his father.
Men.
Oh, what an awful way to kill your father. A knife in his chest.
Well, look at the kind of people they are. You know them.
Yeah. Well, all right, ladies. How about taking seats?
Right, this better be fast. I've got tickets to Chorus Line for tonight. My husband and I are the only 2 people in the whole world who haven't seen it yet. Okay, Your Honor, start the show.
How about sitting down? The lady at the window.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How about you sitting down?
Madam Foreman, do you mind if I stand once in a while? I have a bad back.
No problem.
Thank you.
You know, it's hard to figure. A boy kills his father, bing, just like that. There's no point in getting emotional about it. It's a question of evidence, not how we feel.
We all agreed that it was hot.
And our tempers will get short.
That's if we disagree, but this, open and shut. Let's get it done.
All right. Now, you ladies can handle this any way you want. I mean, I'm not going to make any rules. If we want to discuss it first and then vote, that's one way. Or we can vote right now and see how we stand.
Okay, let's vote now.
Yes, let's see who's where.
Anybody doesn't want to vote?
No, it's okay.
Okay. All those voting guilty, raise your hands. 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 11 for guilty. Not guilty.
Hey, what's the matter with you?
11 to 1. 11 guilty, 1 not guilty. Now we know where we stand.
Do you really believe he's not guilty?
I don't know.
After 6 days, she doesn't know.
In 6 days, I could learn calculus. This is ABC.
Well, I don't think it's as simple as ABC.
I never saw a guiltier man in my life.
Oh, what does a guilty man look like? Hey, he's not guilty until we say he's guilty. Are we to vote on his face?
You sat in court and heard the same things I did. That boy is a murderer. You could just see it.
Where do you look to see if someone is a murderer?
Oh, well.
Well, tell me, I would like to know. What are the facial characteristics of a killer?
Well, what is there about the case that makes you think the boy is innocent?
Well,
He's 17 years old.
Well, that's old enough. The boy knifed his father 4 inches into the chest. An innocent little 17-year-old murderer.
I agree with you that the boy is guilty, but I think we should try to avoid emotionally colored arguments.
All right. They proved it a dozen different ways in court. Do you want me to listen?
No.
Do you really believe that stupid story he told? Do you believe the boy's story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what'd you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not so easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without, well, at least talking about it first.
Who says it was easy for me?
Or me?
No one.
Well, he's still just as guilty whether it's an easy vote or a hard one.
Is there something wrong because I voted fast?
Not necessarily.
Look, I think the boy's guilty. You can talk for 100 years and you could never change my mind.
I don't want to change your mind.
Well, what do you want?
I want to talk about it. Look, this is a boy who's been kicked around all his life. You know, he was raised in the slums. His mother's dead since he was 9. This is a tough, angry boy. I just think we owe him a few words, that's all.
Right? Life's hard. It was hard for me, too. Everything we've got, my husband and I fought for. And we fought, yes, but neither of us ever killed.
I know what tough looks like, too, but I never killed nobody either. Look, I've been kicked around, too. Just wait until you work in an ad agency and the guy who buys the advertising walks in.
In Europe, where I come from, kicking was a science. But let us try to find a better way here.
Look, I don't mind telling you something, sister. That boy got a fair trial, didn't he? You know what that trial costs? Now look, we're adults here. Are you going to tell us that we have to believe him knowing what he is? I lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. You know them.
Oh, I don't know that. What a terrible thing to believe. Since when is dishonesty a group characteristic? You don't have a monopoly on the truth.
All right, save it for Sunday. We don't need a sermon here.
What this woman says is very dangerous.
I don't see any need for arguing like this. I think we ought to behave like ladies.
Right.
Oh. And if we're going to discuss this case, well, let's discuss the facts.
I think that's a good point. We have a job to do. Let's do it.
If you ladies will excuse me, I'm going to close the window. Oh, it's blowing on my neck.
I would like to have the window open.
But it was blowing on me.
Don't you want a little air? It's summer. It's hot.
I was very uncomfortable.
Look, there are 12 of us in this room. If you don't mind.
I have some rights also.
Oh, the nerve of her.
Couldn't you trade chairs with someone at the other end of the table?
If someone will trade places with me, I will gladly open the window.
Oh, all right. Take my seat.
Thank you very much.
Shall we get back to the case?
Right, let's. Look, I have an idea. Just thinking out loud now, you understand. I think it's our place to try to convince this lady that we're right and she's wrong. Now, maybe if we just each talk for a minute or two, you know, try it on for size.
Well, that sounds fair enough.
Very fair.
Identify yourselves by your jury numbers and we'll talk in turn. Who's number 2?
I'm 2.
I'm 3, 4, 5.
I'm 6.
7, 8,
9.
10,
11.
12.
You go first. Oh, well, I just think he's guilty. It was obvious.
In what way was it obvious?
Well, nobody proved otherwise.
But no one has to prove otherwise. It's innocent until proven guilty. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution. The Fifth Amendment, you've heard of it.
Oh, everyone has.
Oh, yes, I've heard of it. But I still think he's guilty.
No reasons? Just guilty? There is a life at stake here.
Okay, let's get down to the facts. Number 1, let's
take that old man who lives on the floor right underneath the apartment where the murder took place. At 10 minutes after 12, on the night of the killing, he heard loud noises in the upstairs apartment. He said it sounded like a fight. And then he heard the boy say to the father, "I'm gonna kill you." And a second later, he hears a body falling. So he runs down to the door, looks out, sees the kid running down the hall, and he calls the police. Well, they found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death around midnight.
Now, what else do you want?
Doesn't seem to fit.
The boy's whole story is flimsy. Now, he claimed he was at the movies. Now, that's a little ridiculous, isn't it? Couldn't even remember what picture he saw.
That's right. Did you hear that? She's absolutely right.
He didn't have a ticket stub.
But who keeps a ticket stub at the movies?
Well, that's true enough.
The cashier didn't remember.
And the ticket taker didn't either.
Look, what about the woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, nothing can.
Right? She saw the killing, didn't she?
Yeah.
Ladies, let's go in order.
Now, just a minute. Here's a woman... Here's a woman laying in bed. It's hot. She can't sleep, you know. Anyway, she glances out of the window, and right across the street, she sees a boy stab his father.
But how can she be so sure it was the boy when she saw it through the windows of a moving elevated train?
She's known him all his life. His window is opposite hers, right across the L tracks. She swore she saw it.
I heard her swear to it.
Okay? Then in court they proved that you can look through the windows of a passing L train at night and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
Weren't you telling us a few minutes ago that you can't believe them? That you can't trust them?
So?
Well, I'd like to ask you something. How come you believed her? She's one of them, too, isn't she?
You're a pretty smart cookie, aren't you?
Now, take it easy.
Oh, come on now, sit down. What are you letting her get you all excited for? Relax.
Ladies, they did take us out to that woman's room and we looked through the windows of a passing L train, didn't we?
Yes, we looked.
And were you able to see what happened on the other side?
Well, I didn't see as well as they told me I would. But I did see what happened on the other
You see, you do see, don't you?
All right, let's calm down. It's your turn, number 5.
I'll pass it.
Well, that's your privilege. How about you, number 6?
I don't know. What convinced me was the testimony of the people across the hall. Didn't they say they heard something of an argument between a father and a boy around 7 o'clock that night? I mean, I can be wrong.
I think it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
Yes, that's right, 8 o'clock.
It was stated they heard the father hit the boy twice and then they saw the boy walk angrily out of the room.
Right.
Well, what does that prove?
It doesn't exactly prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Is there anything else?
Say, you want to know something? We can talk all day about this thing, but I think we're wasting our time.
Well, I don't.
Neither do I. Go on.
Look at the boy's record. He stole a car. He was arrested for mugging. He was picked up for knife fighting. They said he once stabbed somebody in the arm.
They did.
He was in a juvenile home. This was a terrible boy.
Yes, and they sent him to this home for stabbing somebody.
Oh, this is a very fine boy.
But ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him regularly, and he used his fists.
I would too on a boy like that, or if I couldn't, I'd see that his father did.
That's right. You know, it's the kids nowadays. They don't listen. I have a boy. And when he was 8 years old, I caught him fighting out in the streets with a neighborhood gang. After all I told him about staying away from those neighborhood toughs, he goes and joins them. I gave him a whipping he wouldn't forget. And you know what? When he was 15, he hit me in the face. A woman, his own mother. He's big, you know. I haven't seen him in about 3 years. Maybe I'm better off. A rotten kid. I hate tough kids. You work your heart out for them, and what do you... Oh, all right, come on,
with it.
We're missing the point here. This boy, well, let's admit he's the product of a broken home and a filthy neighborhood. We can't help that. We're not here to go into the reasons why slums are breeding grounds for criminals. They are. I know it, and so do you. Children who come out of slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said it there. Believe me, I wouldn't want any part of them.
I lived in a slum. I used to play in a backyard.
Well, wait a minute.
Full of garbage. Maybe it still smells on me.
Now, wait a minute. Let's be reasonable. There's nothing personal.
There is something personal.
Oh, come on. She didn't mean you. Let's not be so sensitive.
Oh, whom did she mean?
I can understand this sensitivity.
Now, let's stop this bickering.
We're just wasting time.
You're next, number 8.
I've had a peculiar feeling about this trial. Somehow, I just felt the defense counsel never really conducted a thorough cross-examination. Too many questions were never asked.
Well, while it doesn't change my opinion about the guilt of the boy, still the defense counsel was bad.
So, this is a point.
Well, what about the facts?
Too many questions were never answered.
Well, what about the questions that were answered? For instance, let's talk about that cute little switch knife. You know, the one that fine, upright boy admitted buying.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's get it in here and take another look at it. I'd like to see it again, Madam Foreman.
We saw that thing once. What do we have to look at it again for?
The lady has a right to see exhibits and evidence. And the knife is a pretty strong piece of evidence.
Now, I think so too.
Right. Now let's get the sequence of events right as they relate to the switch knife.
The boy admits going out of the house at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punched. Now, he went to a neighborhood store and bought a switch knife. The storekeeper was arrested the following day when he admitted selling it to the boy.
Well, I think everyone here agrees it's an unusual knife. You know, it's pretty hard to forget a thing like that.
The storekeeper identified the knife and said it was the only one of its kind he had in stock. Now, why did the boy get it?
As a present for a friend of his, he says.
Am I right so far?
Right. But she's right. Now, I want you to listen to this lady. She knows what she's talking about.
Next, the boy claims that on the knife must have fallen through a hole in his coat pocket. Says he never saw it again. Now, there's a story, ladies. You know what actually happened. He took the knife home and a few hours later stabbed his father with it and even remembered to wipe off the fingerprints. Now, everyone connected with this case identified this knife. Now, are you trying to tell me that someone picked it up off the street, went to the boy's house, and stabbed the father with it just to be amusing?
No. I'm saying that it is possible that the boy lost the knife and that someone else stabbed his father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Take a look at that knife, ladies. It's a very strange knife. Now, I've never seen one like it. Neither had the storekeeper who sold it. Now, aren't you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to make anyone accept it. I'm just saying it's possible.
And I'm saying it's not possible.
Wait a minute. Where did you get that?
Yeah, it's the same knife.
Quiet. Let's be quiet.
Where did you get it?
I got it in a little junk shop around the corner from the boy's house. It cost $2.
Now you listen to me.
I'm listening.
You pulled a pretty smart trick here, but you proved absolutely zero. Maybe there are 10 knives like that. So what?
Maybe there are.
The boy lied and you know it.
And maybe he didn't lie. Maybe he did lose the knife. And maybe he did go to the movies. And maybe the reason the cashier didn't see him was because he sneaked into the movies and was ashamed to say so. Now, is there anyone here who didn't sneak into the movies once or twice when they were young?
I didn't.
Not even once?
They didn't have movies.
Oh, you poor thing.
Maybe he did go to the movies. Maybe he didn't.
And maybe he lied. Do you think he lied?
What a stupid question. Sure he lied.
Do you?
You don't have to ask me that. You know my answer. He lied.
Do you think he lied?
I don't know.
Now, wait a second. What are you, the boy's lawyer? There are still 11 of us in this room who think he's guilty. You're alone. What do you think you're going to accomplish? If you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, this boy is going to be tried again and found guilty, sure as he's born.
You're probably right.
So what are you going to do about it? We can be here all night.
It's only one night. A boy could die.
Oh, now, come on.
True.
How do you like her?
Well, I think we ought to get on with it now.
Yeah, let's.
Who is
Okay. Well, what have you got to say about that?
We know he bought a switch knife that night, but we don't know where he really was. At the movies?
Earlier that night, the boy and his father did have a fight.
He's been bad all his life.
He has been a violent boy all the way, but while that doesn't prove anything.
I've got a proposition to make. I want to call for a vote. I want the 11 of you to vote by secret ballot. I'll abstain. If there are still 11 votes for guilty, I won't stand alone. We'll take in a guilty verdict right now.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, Lenore.
Okay.
Does everyone agree?
Yeah, let's do it.
Guilty, guilty, guilty. Guilty, guilty, guilty.
That's it.
Please. 6 guilty. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Not guilty.
Who was it? I think we have a right to know.
All right. Who did it? What idiot here changed her vote?
Is that the way you talk about a boy's life?
Whose life are you talking about? The life of the dead man or the life of the murderer?
I want to know who.
I want to know too.
Excuse me, this was a secret ballot.
Oh, nobody watched while we did it, but now I want to know.
A secret ballot. If the lady wishes it to remain a secret, it remains.
What do you mean? There are no secrets in here. I know who it was.
What's the matter with you? You come in here and you vote guilty, and then this slick cookie over here starts to tear your heart out with stories about a poor little boy who just couldn't help becoming a murderer. So you change your vote. If that isn't the most sickening thing...
Hold it!
I agree with you that the boy is guilty, but let's be fair.
Hold it. Be fair? That's just what I'm saying. Look, we're trying to put a guilty man into the chair where he belongs, and all of a sudden we're paying attention to fairy tale.
Now, just a...
Now, you listen to me!
I think we should get on with it now.
This is certainly not organized. I think we ought to be civilized about this.
Please, I would like to say something here. I've always thought a person was entitled to have an unpopular opinion in this country. That was the reason I came here. I wanted to have the right to disagree.
Well, do you disagree with us?
Usually I would. In this one case, I agree with you. But the point I wish to make is that in my own country...
Oh, now, what are we going to listen to? The whole history of your country? It's always wise to bear in mind what has happened in countries when people aren't allowed to disagree, but we are. So let's stick to the subject.
Yes, let's stick to the subject. I want to know why you changed your vote.
What makes you think I did change my vote?
Because I do. Now get on with it.
There's nothing for her to tell you. She didn't change her vote. I did.
Oh, I was going to tell you, but you were so sure of yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, now I'm gonna...
you'd like to know why.
Well, I'm going to tell. Let me tell you why this boy is...
Just a minute. Just a minute.
Let the lady speak.
Thank you. This lady has stood alone against us, and that was her right. It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even when you believe in something very strongly. Now she has left the verdict up to us. She gambled for support, and I gave it to her. I want to hear more. The vote is 10-2.
That's fine. If your speech is over, let's go on.
Look, supposing you answer me this. If the boy didn't kill him, who did?
As far as I know, we're supposed to determine whether or not the boy on trial is guilty. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives here.
I suppose, but who else had a motive?
Well, the father was along in years, perhaps an old grudge.
Remember, it is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This is an important thing to remember.
Everybody's a lawyer. Supposing you explain to us what your reasonable doubts are.
It's not easy. So far, it's just a feeling I have. A feeling perhaps you don't understand.
No, I don't.
A feeling? Are we going to spend the night talking about your feelings? What about the facts? Hey, you took the words right out of my mouth. Look, the old man heard the boy scream, "I'm going to kill you." A second later, he hears the body dropping. And then he sees a kid run out of the house 15 minutes after that.
Where's the reasonable doubt in that?
That's right. And let's not forget the woman across the street. She looked out of her window and saw the boy stab his father. She saw it.
Now, if that's not enough for you.
It's not enough for me.
What is enough for you? I'd like to know.
How do you like her? It's like talking into a dead phone.
The woman saw the killing through the windows of a passing L train. Now, the train had 5 cars, and she saw it through the windows of the last 2 cars. She remembers the most insignificant details. Well, what have you got to say about that?
Something doesn't seem right.
Well, supposing you start thinking about it.
Would you like to see this pattern of a crocheted skirt my daughter gave me? You know, it doesn't look very hard.
Wouldn't it be out of style by the time you finish?
Oh, isn't a semicircle.
Wait a minute.
This is a boy's life.
Who do you think you are? Have a mind to slap you.
Now, please, ladies, I don't want any fights in here.
Did you see her? The nerve, the absolute nerve of her.
All right, forget it. It don't mean nothing.
This isn't a sewing
Sitting
circle.
down, ladies.
This isn't a sewing circle. Well, who in the hell does she think she is?
Weren't we talking about elevated trains?
Yes, we were.
So,
How long would you think it would take an elevated train going at top speed to pass a given point?
what has that got to do with anything?
How long do you think? Guess.
I don't have the slightest idea.
Nobody mentioned it.
What do you think?
About 10 or 12 seconds, maybe.
That seems like a fair guess. Anyone else?
About 10 seconds, perhaps.
Yeah, about 10 seconds.
All right, 10 seconds, we're agreed. So what are you getting at?
An elevated train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point. That given point is the window of the room in which the killing took place. You can almost reach out of that window and touch the L tracks, right?
That's right, I tried it.
Well, let me ask you this. Has anyone here ever lived near the L tracks?
I've lived close to them.
They make a lot of noise, don't they?
They sure do.
If an L train goes by and your window is open, it's almost unbearable. You can't hear yourself think.
Not a
You
thing.
can't hear yourself think. Get to the point.
The old man downstairs heard the boy say,
He didn't say it, he screamed it.
The old man heard the boy scream, "I'm going to kill you."
Right.
And 1 second later heard a body falling. That's the testimony, right?
Right.
Now, the woman across the L tracks looked through the windows of the last 2 cars and saw the body fall, right?
So?
The last 2 cars. The last 2 cars.
What are you giving us here?
An L train takes 10 seconds to pass a given point or 2 seconds per car. That car had been going past the old man's window for at least 6 seconds, maybe more, before the body fell, according to the woman. Now, the old man would have had to hear the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," while the front of the L was roaring past his nose. It's not possible. He couldn't have heard it.
What do you mean? Sure he could have heard it.
With an L train going by?
Yeah, but the kid screamed it out.
An L train makes a lot of noise.
That's enough for me.
I don't think he could have heard it.
You know, maybe the old man didn't hear it with the L train and...
What are you people saying? Are you calling this old man a liar?
Well, something doesn't fit.
Oh, you're crazy. Why would he lie? What would he have to gain?
Attention, maybe.
Oh, gosh. You keep coming up with these bright sayings. Why don't you send one into the newspaper? You know, they pay $2.
And what has that to do with a boy's life? Why might the old man have lied? You have a right to be hurt.
It's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his jacket was ripped under the arm. Did you notice that? He was a very old man with a torn jacket, and he carried 2 canes. I think I know him better than anyone here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant man who has been nothing all his life, who has never had recognition. His name in the newspapers. Nobody knows him after 88 years. This is a very sad thing. A man like this needs to be recognized, to be questioned and listened to and quoted just once. It's very important.
And you're trying to tell us that he would lie about a thing like this just so that he could feel important?
No, he wouldn't really lie, but perhaps he'd make himself believe he heard those words and recognize the boy's face.
Well, what a fantastic story. How can you make up a thing like that?
I'm not making it up.
Oh, you must be making it up. People don't lie about things like that.
He made himself believe he told the truth.
Oh, what do you know about it? Gosh.
I speak from experience.
All right now, is there anything else? Would anyone care for a cough drop?
No.
Oh, come on, let's get on with this.
I'll take one, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to point out something else about the old man downstairs. Now, I think we proved that he couldn't have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you."
Well, I disagree. Well, let's hear her through anyway.
But supposing the old man really did hear the boy say, "I'm going to kill you." Those words, how many times have each of you used them? Probably hundreds. We say, "Junior, if you don't behave, I'll murder you." Or your husband says, "Come on, Rocky, kill him." That doesn't mean we're really going to kill someone.
But don't the circumstances alter that somewhat? The old man was murdered. One thing more. The phrase was, "I'm going to kill you," and the boy screamed it out at the top of his lungs. Now, don't tell me that he didn't mean it. Anybody who says a thing like that, the way he said it, they mean it.
And how they mean it.
Well, do you think he would have shouted out a thing like that for the whole neighborhood to hear? I don't. I think he's much too bright for that.
Bright? He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak good English.
The boy is clever enough.
I'm going to change my vote to not guilty.
Oh, no, I don't believe it. Now listen to me. You come in here with your heart bleeding all over the floor about slums and injustice, and you make up all these wild stories. And you got a couple of soft-hearted sob sisters listening to you. Well, I'm not. I am sick of it all. What's the matter with you people, anyway? This boy is guilty. He's gotta burn. Now, don't let him slip through our fingers.
Our fingers? Are you his executioner?
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Perhaps you'd like to pull the switch.
For this good for nothing, you bet I'd like to pull the switch.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now, don't you start with me.
What it must feel like to want to pull a switch.
Shut up.
You're a sadist.
Shut up.
You want to see this boy die because it would satisfy you personally, not because of the facts. Oh, you disgust me.
Will you shut up? Oh, let me go. Let me go. I'll kill her. I'll kill her.
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
Why we have to behave like children.
Nor do I. We have a responsibility. That is the remarkable thing about this country. That we are, what is the word? Notified. That we are notified to come by mail to come down to this place and to decide on the guilt or innocence of a person. Someone we have not known before. They have nothing to gain or lose by our verdict. That's what makes us so strong. They should not make this a personal thing.
Thank you very much.
Why do you thank me?
We forget. It's good to be reminded.
I would like to know why you changed your vote.
I think there's a doubt.
Where? Where is a doubt?
There's the knife.
Oh, fine. She talked you into believing a fairy tale.
The old man, too. Maybe the old man didn't lie, but maybe he did. Maybe the old man doesn't like the boy. I think there's a reasonable doubt.
What are you basing me on? Stories that this woman made up? She ought to write for Amazing Detective Monthly. She'd make a fortune. Listen, the boy had a lawyer, didn't he? Why didn't the lawyer bring up all these things?
Lawyers can't think of everything.
Oh, heavens, you sit in here and pull stories out of the thin air. Now, we're supposed to believe that the old man didn't get out of bed, run to the door, and see the boy running downstairs 15 seconds after the killing?
Well, that's the testimony, I believe.
And the old man swore to this? Yes, he swore to this, just so he could be heard?
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked, what's the difference? He got there.
I don't remember what he said, but I don't see how he could run.
He said he went. I remember it now. He said he went from the bedroom to the front door. Now, that's enough, isn't it?
Where was that bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere.
Down the hall? Are we to send a boy off to die because it's down the hall somewhere?
I thought you remembered everything. Didn't you remember that?
No, I don't.
I don't remember either.
Madam Foreman, I'd like to see the diagram of the apartment.
Oh, okay. Why don't we run the trial over again, just so she can get everything straight?
The bedroom is down the hall somewhere. Do you know? Do you know where it really is? Do you?
No, I really don't.
Madam Foreman?
I heard you.
How come you're the only one in the room who wants to see exhibits all the time?
I want to see this one, too.
So do I.
And I want to stop wasting time.
Are we going to start wading through all that nonsense about where the body was found?
No. We're going to try to find out how an old man who walks with 2 canes and has had 2 strokes in the last 3 years can get from his bedroom to his front door in 15 seconds.
He said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
How does he know how long 15 seconds is? You can't judge a thing like that.
He said 15. He was very positive about it.
Ah, he's an old man. You saw that. Half the time he was confused. How could he be positive about anything?
Well, you know.
No, I don't know. Maybe you know.
Is this what you wanted?
Oh, yes, please.
Oh, do me a favor and wake me up when this is all over.
I looked at that diagram for 2 hours. Enough is enough.
Well, some of us are interested. Go ahead.
Now, this actually is the apartment in which the killing took place. But the old man's apartment is directly below, and it's exactly the same. So here are the L tracks, the bedroom and another bedroom, the living room, bath, and the kitchen. Here's the hallway apartment and the front door and the steps. Now, the old man was asleep in this room. He says that he got up and went out into this hall and down the hall to the front door in time to see the boy racing down the steps. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
15 seconds after he heard a body fall.
Correct.
Now, his bed is by the window. It's 10 feet from his bed to the bedroom door. The length of the hall is 43 feet. He had to get up and get his canes, then walk 10 feet, open the bedroom door, walk 43 feet, open the front door, all in 15 seconds. Do you think that's possible?
You know it's why not. Well, he would have been in a hurry. He did hear that scream.
The old man walked very slowly in the courtroom. They had to help him into the witness chair.
You make it sound like a long walk. You know it's not.
For an old man who walks with canes, it's a long walk.
Now what are you doing?
I want to try this thing. Let's see how long it took. I'm going to pace off 10 feet. That's the length of the bedroom.
Oh, you're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like this.
This is a very important point.
Oh, it's a ridiculous waste of time.
Now, this is where the bedroom door would be. Now, how far would you say it is from here to that wall?
I'd say about 18 feet.
About, yeah, 18 feet is close enough because from here to the wall and back is 36 feet. Right. So that's less than the length of the hole that the old man had to go through, right?
A few feet, maybe.
This is absolutely idiotic. What makes you think you can do this?
Do you mind if I try? It'll only take 15 seconds, according to you. We can spare that. Who has a watch with a second hand?
Oh, I have.
All right. Now, when you want me to start by, clap your hands. That'll be the body falling.
Okay.
And let's say he kept his canes right at his bedside, right? All right, I'm ready.
I'm waiting for the hand to get to 60.
Speed it up. He walked twice as fast as that.
This is even more quickly than the old man walked in the courtroom.
No, it isn't. No.
You want me to go faster? I can.
We'll speed it up a little.
Stop. What's
Right.
the time?
15, 20, 30, 35, 30, 39 seconds exactly.
It can't be. No.
Seconds exactly. What do you think of that?
It sure is.
Seconds. Oh, my.
And the old man swore on his oath that it was 15.
She may have been a little bit off on the speed that the old man walked at, but 24 seconds,
Well,
that's ridiculous.
far be it from me to call anyone a liar, but even allowing for the difference in speed between the old man and her, well, still there's quite a discrepancy.
Now, it's my guess that the old man was trying to get to his front door, heard someone running down the steps, and assumed that it was the boy.
Yes, that's possible. I think maybe we ought to try another vote, Madam Foreman.
That sounds fair. Anybody object?
No. Okay, I want an open vote this time. An open ballot. Let's call out our votes. I want
to know who stands where.
Okay, I'll call off your jury numbers. Number 2,
Not guilty.
3,
Guilty.
4,
Guilty.
5,
Not guilty.
6,
Not guilty.
7,
Guilty.
8,
Not guilty.
9,
Not guilty.
10,
Guilty.
11,
Not guilty.
12.
Guilty.
Now that's 6 to 6. I'll tell you something. There's a crime is being committed right here in this room.
The vote is 6 to 6.
I'm ready to walk into court right now and declare a hung jury. I mean, there's no point in this going on any longer.
I'd like to know why you all changed your minds. Why?
Well, it seems to me that the old man didn't see the boy run down the stairs. And I do not think it's likely that he heard someone say, "I'm going to kill you." Old men dream. And if he did hear the boy say, "I'm going to kill," well, we have the authority of this person to prove that he really didn't mean to kill.
Why don't we take it into the judge and let the boy take his chances with 12 other jurors?
The vote is 6 to 6. I don't think we'll ever agree on anything.
No, it's got to be unanimous, and we're never going to convince her.
Well, at first I was alone, but now 5 other jurors agree with me. There is a doubt.
Maybe we are a hung jury. It does happen sometimes.
We're not going to be a hung jury.
But we are right now a perfect balance. Let's take it into the judge.
Well, if there is a reasonable doubt, I don't see it.
The doubt is there in my mind.
Well, maybe we should take another vote.
What do you mean vote? We just voted.
Oh, not again! I still want to know, vote on what?
We aren't we a hung jury?
Oh, you mean we vote yes, we are a hung jury, or no, we are not a hung jury?
That's just what I was thinking of.
I'm not sure that we could agree on whether or not we are a hung jury.
We can't even agree on whether or not the window should be open.
I think it should be a majority vote. The majority wins.
You mean if 7 or more of us vote yes, that we are a hung jury, then we take it into the judge and tell him that we are a hung jury?
Right. And if 7 or more vote no, then we aren't a hung jury and we go on discussing it.
Anything to get this over with.
Is everyone agreed?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Then if 7 or more vote yes, we take it into the judge. I vote yes, we're a hung jury. 2, no. 3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5,
No.
6,
No.
7,
Yes.
8,
No.
9,
No.
10,
Yes.
11,
No.
12.
Yes?
Oh, no.
It's 6 to 6.
We can't even get a majority to decide whether or not we're a hung jury.
I went along with the majority vote on this question, and I didn't agree with voting this way, and I still don't. So I'm changing my vote. I say no, we are not a hung jury. Now, I still believe the boy is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But there are some things I want to find out from those who changed their minds. Why
Then
did
we
you
aren't
change
a
your
hung
mind?
jury, so we go on.
Good, we go on.
And why did you change your mind?
Oh, she seems so sure, and she's made a few good points. While she just gets mad and she insults everybody.
But does the anger and the insult change the guilt of the boy? He did do it. Are we going to turn a murderer loose just because one of the jurors becomes angry?
Oh, that's true.
There is a doubt.
I don't think so. Now, let's take this point. The track is straight in front of the window. Now, the L train made a low, rumbling noise. L trains screech when they go around curves. So the old man could have heard a scream which is high-pitched. It is a tenement, and they do have thin walls.
That's good.
And what if the old man was wrong about the time it took him to get to the front door, but right about whom he saw running downstairs? Please remember there weren't any fingerprints on the knife, and it is summer, so gloves seem unlikely.
That's right. Now I want you to listen to this lady. She's talking sense.
And it might have taken a few seconds to get a handkerchief out and wipe away the fingerprints.
That's a point.
Why don't we just time this one to see?
Just what are we timing?
Yes, please, let's be exact.
Well, it might have taken the murderer about 35 seconds to wipe the fingerprints away and to get down the hall and down the stairs to the place where the old man saw him, the boy, that is.
That's right. We reconstructed the old man getting out of bed and going to the door, and we timed that. Now let's reconstruct the actual crime.
As well as we can.
I think the murderer could have easily used up 30 or 40 seconds at this point.
All right, let's reconstruct the killing.
Yes, let's.
Now, he was found on his side.
Yeah, and now stabbing someone isn't exactly like shooting them with a gun. You know, the father would have rolled around on the floor a little, writhing maybe?
Well, that's quite possible. There would have been enough oxygen in his system to carry him for 2 or 3 seconds, I should imagine. And if someone hates another person enough to kill him, don't you think it's reasonable to assume that he would take a second or 2 to look around the room?
This gets better and better.
Would the father have cried out?
Well, maybe the boy held his mouth.
That's possible.
Yeah. Well, let's take another point. If he would be clear enough mentally to look around to see if there were any fingerprints, he would be clear enough mentally to take a minute or 2 to look around the apartment, or the room in this case, to see if there are any clues. It might take a few seconds, but still he would look around.
Now, what about the fingerprints? The boy wiped the fingerprints off the knife. Well, how about the doorknob? If I saw a man coming into my home, a man that hated me, and if he was wiping the doorknob with a handkerchief as he came in, I'd start screaming.
So would I.
I think even a man would have an uneasy feeling. So the doorknobs must have been wiped off after the killing, and this too would take some time.
But come on, let's do it.
Okay, Miss Know-It-All, you do the
No,
stabbing.
I'll do it.
I want to be the one that gets stabbed.
Now, he was found on his side. So when you fall, writhe a little bit and then roll onto your right side. Now, you timed the last one. Would you time this one too, please?
Yes.
Say go when you want me to start. Go. I'm going to kill you. This is the door to the bedroom, and he would have wiped off both sides of the door. Now, this is the hallway, and this is the front door, and he would have wiped off both knobs. Stop.
20, 20, 25, 29 and a half seconds, I'd say.
And whoever did murder the old man, and I still think it was the boy, would have had to run down the hall and down the stairs, at least 1 flight of stairs.
You see? You see?
The old man was wrong.
And the old man might have been wrong about the time, but right about whom he saw running downstairs.
So now both time sequences check. The one you did and the one we did. And what with running down the stairs and everything, it does pretty well check out as far as the time element is concerned.
Sure, he's an old man that wants attention. You know, she's probably right. But the old man feels the way everyone does. A life is at stake.
So the old man told the story, told the truth the way he thought.
Except for the fact that on the stand he absolutely swore that it was 15 seconds.
And we seem to all agree that it was 25 to 35 seconds later.
Now you are now admitting that the old man lied in one case and told the truth in the other. Now, I admit this does tend to confirm the story of the old man. But he is now in court a proven liar. And this is by your own admission.
That may be true that the old man lies in part. But once again, it's going to change my vote to guilty.
Oh, and what about you? What do you think?
I just don't know. I want more talk. At first, first I thought guilty, and then I changed. Now I'm sort of swinging back to guilty.
And what about you?
I am in real doubt, real doubt.
I say guilty. I was right the first time.
Now we're beginning to make some sense in here.
It seems to be about 9 guilty to 3 not guilty.
I have one more question about the old man downstairs. How many of you live in apartment buildings?
I don't know what you're thinking, but I know what I am thinking. I do not live in a tenement, but it is close by. There was just enough light in the hallway so we could see the stairs, no more. The light bulbs were so small. This murder took place in a tenement. Remember how we stumbled on the steps?
And the police were using large bulbs. One even had a flashlight, remember?
An old man who misjudged the time by 24 seconds. On this we all agree?
Yeah.
This old man looked down a dark hallway and recognized a running figure.
Now, he was 100% wrong about the time. It took almost twice as long as he thought.
An old man who was 100% wrong about the time. Could he not be 100% wrong about who he saw?
That's the most stupid thing I ever heard of. You must be making that up out of thin air.
We're a hung jury. Let's be honest about it.
Do you truly feel there is no room for reasonable doubt?
Yes, I do.
I beg your pardon, but do you understand the meaning of reasonable doubt?
What do you mean I don't understand it? Who do you think you are to talk to me like that? How do you like this babe? She comes running over here for her life. Before she can take a big breath, she's telling us how to run our lives. The nerve of her!
No one here is asking where anyone came from.
I was born right here.
Or where your mother came from.
And maybe it wouldn't hurt us to take a few tips from people who come running over here. Maybe they've learned something we haven't. We're not so perfect.
Please, it's all right. I'm used to this.
It's not all right.
Okay, I apologize. Is that what you want?
That's what I want.
All right, let's stop this arguing. Who has something constructive to say? Well, something's been bothering me a little. The whole business about the stab wound, how it was made, and the downward angle, you know?
Don't tell me we're going to start on that again. They went over and over it in court.
I know they did. But I somehow, I still just don't go along with it. The boy is 5 feet 8 inches tall. His father was 6 feet 2 inches tall. Now right there, you know, you can see there's a difference of 6 inches. Now it must be very awkward to stab down into the chest of someone who's a half a foot taller than you are.
Look, you're not going to be satisfied until you see it again. So I'll give you a demonstration. Somebody get up. Okay, everybody, I want you to watch this. I don't want to have to do it again. Now, is this 6 inches?
Oh, that's more than 6 inches.
So let it be a little more.
What's the matter with you?
Now, calm down, everybody. Nobody's hurt, are they?
No, nobody's hurt.
Now, look, take a look at this angle. Down and in. That's the way I'd stab somebody in the chest who was taller than me, and that's the way it was done.
Down and in. I guess we have no argument.
Did you ever stab anyone?
Of course not.
Did you?
What do you mean? Don't be silly.
Did you?
No, I didn't.
Then where do you get all your information about where it's done?
What do you mean? It's just common sense.
Did you ever see anyone stab?
No.
Well, then let me ask you this. The boy was an experienced knife fighter.
That's right.
Well, look at this. Now, doesn't that look like an awkward way to handle a knife?
What are you asking me for?
Wait a minute. What's the matter with me? Give me that knife.
Have you ever seen a knife fight?
Yes, I have.
In the movies?
In my backyard. On my stoop. in the vacant lot across the street. Too many of them. Switch knives came with the neighborhood where I lived. Funny I forgot that. I guess there are some things you don't want to remember. Anyone who's ever used a switch knife would never have stabbed downward. It's too awkward. You don't handle a switch knife like that. You use it underhanded.
Then he couldn't have made the kind of wound that killed his father.
I suppose it's conceivable that he could have made the wound, but it's not likely. Not if he'd had any experience with switch knives. And we know the boy had plenty of experience with switch knives.
I don't believe it. Neither do I. You're giving us a bunch of hokum pokum.
What do you think, 12?
Well, I really don't know.
What about you?
Listen, I want to tell you all something. I'm sick and tired of this thing already. We're getting nowhere fast. Let's stop this arguing and go home.
Look, before we go any further, I would like to try to pull this thing together.
This should be good.
She has a right. Let her go ahead.
Go ahead. Want me to time this? No.
Look, I'm in advertising. I love to see things pulled together. It makes for good layouts. Why don't we just look and see if we can put this thing together as a whole picture and see if some pattern comes into view. Maybe we could get a fresh slant on the whole thing.
I'd like you all to look at it logically and consistently.
We have. Guilty.
I'd like to know, is the boy smart or is he dumb?
What do you mean?
This is a boy who's been arrested for knife fighting. Now, the night of the murder, he bought a knife, a switch knife. It would then take a very stupid boy to go and murder his father with an instrument that everyone would associate with the son.
I quite agree. He's dumb.
All right, but if he's so dumb, then why did he make the kind of wound that an inexperienced man would make?
I don't understand that.
To murder someone must take great hatred, great emotion. And at that moment, he would handle the knife as best he could, underhand. A man who had not been trained would go overhand. But the boy is being very smart. He is smart enough to make the kind of wound that an amateur would make. Smart enough to wipe the fingerprints away, and perhaps even smart enough to wait for an L train to cover the noise. Now, is he smart or is he dumb?
Now, wait a minute.
You know, the woman across the L tracks saw the murder through the L train. Someone in the train could have seen the murder, too.
It's possible, but no one did that we know of.
Well, it would take an awfully dumb man to take a chance like that, doing the murder as the train was going by.
Exactly. A dumb man, a stupid man, a man swept by emotion. He probably didn't hear anything. He didn't even hear the L train coming. And whoever did murder the father did it as best he could.
So?
The boy is dumb enough to do everything to associate himself with the switch knife murder, but smart enough to make the kind of wound that would lead us to suspect someone else. Now, a moment later, he's dumb enough to chance being seen by someone on the L train, and then again smart enough to wipe the fingerprints away. Now, is he smart or is he dumb?
I hadn't thought of that.
And the old man downstairs, on the stand, he swore that it was 15 seconds. He insisted on 15 seconds. But we all know that it was more like 30 seconds.
Does that old man lie half of the time? And then does he tell the truth the other half of the time?
To say the boy is guilty, you have to toss his intelligence like a pancake. And also, for the boy to be guilty, the old man must be a liar half of the time and tell the truth half of the time. I say there is doubt, doubt, doubt.
I'm sold on reasonable doubts.
I think I am too.
I wanted more talk.
Now I've had it.
I want another vote.
All right, there's another vote called for. I guess the quickest way is a show of hands. All those voting not guilty, raise your hands. 7, 8, 9. All those voting guilty. 1, 2, 3. The vote is 9-3 in favor of acquittal.
I don't understand you people. How can you vote that that man is innocent? You know the way those people lie. I don't have to tell you. And let me tell you something else. They don't need a real good reason to murder anybody either. They get drunk, you know, and bang, someone's laying in the gutter. Nobody's blaming them. It's just the way they are, you know what I mean? Violent. Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. Hey, where are you all going? Oh, I guess there are some good things about them too, you know, and I'd be the first one to say it. I knew a few decent ones, but they're the exception. Most of them, it's like they don't have any feelings. They can do anything. What's going on here? I'm speaking my piece and listen. They are no good. There isn't a good one among them. And take it from me, we had better watch out. Don't you know what they are like? What are you doing? Listen, I'm trying to tell you something.
I've had enough. If you open your mouth again, I'm going to scratch your eyes out.
I was only trying to tell you something.
All right, everybody, sit down. Now, I still believe the boy is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, and I'll tell you why. To me, the most damning evidence was given by the woman across the street. She claims she actually saw the murder committed.
That's right. As far as I'm concerned, that is the most important testimony.
All right, now let's go over her testimony.
Well,
What exactly did she say?
I believe I can recount it accurately. She said she went to bed at about 11 o'clock that night. Now, her bed is right next to the open window, and she can look directly into the window across the street. She tossed and turned for over an hour, unable to fall asleep. Then at about 12:10, she turned and looked out of the window, and she saw the boy stab his father. Now, as far as I can see, that is unshakable testimony.
That's what I mean. That's the whole case.
That's my opinion. And in view of this, I don't see how you can all vote for acquittal. What do you think, number 12?
Well, maybe.
What do you mean?
But there's so much evidence to sift.
What do you mean, maybe? She's absolutely right. You could just throw out all the other evidence.
Oh, come on. I don't deny the validity of the points that she's made. Shall we say that on one side of the tracks there is doubt? But what about the story of the old woman? She saw it.
What time is it?
5:45.
You don't suppose they'll let us go home and finish in the morning? My husband is sick.
Not a chance.
Can't you see that clock without your glasses?
Not clearly.
Oh?
Glasses are a nuisance, aren't they?
But what do you all do if you wake up in the middle of the night and you want to know what time it is?
I put my glasses on and look at the clock. I just lie in bed and wait for the clock to chime.
Well, do you wear your glasses to bed?
No, nobody wears glasses to bed.
What about the woman who testified? She wore glasses, didn't she?
Did she wear glasses?
Yeah, of course. The woman bought bifocals. I remember that very clearly. They were quite strong.
That's right. Bifocals, and she never took them off.
Funny. I never thought of that.
Now, I think it's safe to assume that she wouldn't have worn her glasses to bed, and she wouldn't have put them on to glance casually out of the window. Now, she testified that the killing took place the instant she looked out of the window, and a split second later the lights went out. Now, she wouldn't have put them on then. Now, perhaps this woman honestly thought that she saw the boy kill his father. I say she only saw a blur.
How do you know what she saw? Maybe this woman was farsighted. How did she know all these things?
Does anyone think there still is not room for reasonable doubt?
I'll always wonder, but there is reasonable doubt.
Well, I think he's guilty.
Does anyone else?
No, I'm convinced there is a reasonable doubt.
You're alone.
That's 11 to 1. 11 not guilty, 1 guilty.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. I have a right to my opinion.
You have a right.
Well, I told you, I think the man is guilty. Now, what else do you want?
Your arguments.
I gave you my arguments.
We're not satisfied. We're waiting to hear more. We have time.
Listen, what's the matter with you? You're the one who made up all the arguments. You can't turn now. A guilty man is going to be walking in the streets, a murderer. He's got to die. Now, you've got to stay with me. You have got to.
No, I'm sorry. I'm convinced. I don't think I'm wrong very often, but I guess I was this once. There is a reasonable doubt.
We're waiting.
They're not going to sway me. I have a right to my opinion. It's going to be a hung jury. That's it.
Well, there's nothing we can do about that.
We're ready now.
Except hope that sometime, maybe in a few months, you might be able to get some sleep.
You're all alone.
It takes courage to stand alone.
And if we are a hung jury, there will be another trial. And some of us will point these things out to the various lawyers.
I can!
We're waiting. Not guilty.